What's up, guys? Welcome back to Jimmy Talks. I wanted to do another tactical video today for the average civilian. These tend to be my more higher viewed videos, so I wanted to get another one out there because it's something that I really enjoy as well. I want to get into this topic of stuff that I see spoken online a lot. It's said all the time, but it's rarely explained with any substance, and it's usually this vague, lazy advice to just go train. It's some self-appointed commando online, whatever. He tells you to just go out with your friends and do something. And typically these people feel all superior without offering zero actual methods or techniques on how to train. And a lot of these people, honestly, they don't really have any clue what they're talking about. It's just more of a high horse thing, wanting to feel good about yourself, throwing empty platitudes at the rest of us. But anyways, enough of that. What's enough griping? Let's cut through all that bullshit. Right. We'll just cut through all of it, and I'll tell you how to train properly, because effective training isn't just shooting at the range or shooting at the bench. A lot of it, which is what I did for a long time, by the way, because I didn't know any better. A huge chunk of it actually happens entirely off the range. I'd say the majority of it does. So it's going to be a blend of like theoretical knowledge, aka books and YouTube videos, stuff like that. It's going to be dry fire practicing. It's going to be some basic woodsman and camping skills as well. It's going to build some resilience. And even, yes, you can use video games. I'm not saying the only way to train or the best way to train is by video games. It's just a way. It's just one way in the millions of ways you can train. And you can also watch videos and movies. And yes, specific movies, not all of them, of course. But it's more for tactical awareness and getting an idea for things. But anyways, probably the most important, physical fitness. That's going to prepare your body for the real world demands that you will see. It's not if, it's will. So I want to call this a holistic approach. It doesn't just make you better at shooting itself, like hitting the target and getting good type groupings and all that shit. It's going to make you more capable, and it's going to make you more adaptable, and it's going to make you more resilient in your daily life as well. So this training and stuff, I think it applies to all methods of life. I really do. So, and God forbid anything actual, like some actual shit hits the fan, like more likely would be a natural disaster like Hurricane Katrina, or like urban chaos like the 2020 riots. People were robbing other people at gunpoint, shooting them. Kyle Rittenhouse, whatever. I want to say all this because this kind of training could really be good for that kind of situation. It can be the difference between survival and death. So let's just break it down. No bullshit and just actionable work. So let's start with live fire at the range, because I mentioned it first and it's the most obvious piece. It's what people think of when they're like, go train, it's go shooting your gun. So when you get your weapon, your rifle, your gun, especially focusing around the meta. So by that I mean 9mm pistols, 5.56. It's like the most ubiquitous rounds. It's the bread and butter for the military, police, civilians, all that stuff. And honestly, it's fairly priced compared to about anything else out there. It's the best do-it-all caliber. There's calibers for different uses, but for the average guy, 9mm and 5.56, in my opinion, my humble opinion, that's what you should be looking at. This advice typically applies to those platforms in this video. You can use it for other calibers as well, but this is mainly what I'm going to be talking about. It's 9mm and 5.56. Now, often when people buy a gun, they typically don't go to shoot it right away. I think this is a big misstep. A firearm needs to break in, or at least be understood by you. Put a solid 250 to 500 rounds through it, preferably 1,000, but ammo's just expensive, so we'll just slide with 250 to 500, and preferably again 1,000. But I would really think it would be better for 500, but that's what I'm comfortable around. But I have trained extensively across numerous platforms and like guns and stuff like that. And I can't really tell you the number that you're going to need, but listen, I'm also not some like John Wick special forces operator. It's just gun range time doesn't make me better than you. And I don't want to seem like I'm being that way. And on the battlefield, a bullet doesn't discriminate anyways. It kills everyone the same. And humility is key when you're training. Don't get your pride and ego in the way, because some guy's going to show you up. There's always someone bigger. There's always someone badder. There's always someone that can beat your ass, right? But anyways, This experience lets me give concrete advice, not just some nonsense, like some just go train, bro. So during this 500 to 1,000 round break-in period, you need to focus on specific takeaways, some specific things to watch for. First, you need to run multiple types of range ammo through it and self-defense ammo. But let's just say you have a 9mm Glock or 9mm SIG. We'll just use that as an example. Don't just grab one box. If when you get a new gun, you should try 115 grain, 124 grain, 135 grain, all that. Get some brass case, get some steel case. See how each of them feels and how the recoil is slightly different, and see how the gun cycles them. See where the shell casings land. If one gun might like a different kind of ammo more. Now, observe any of the differences in reliability, the ejection patterns, like I just said, or point of impact on your targets. Then, crucially, most importantly, run some of your actual self-defense ammo. It's really expensive, so you don't need to burn through hundreds of rounds of expensive hollow points like Spear Gold Dots. 20 rounds is like $40. I would really just say buy 2 boxes of it, call it good. Maybe shoot like half a box because honestly, bro, it's just expensive. So a full box is like ideal for thorough testing, but if you're budget conscious, like I've just been saying, and who isn't, to be honest, at the very least, run a magazine or two of your high quality self-defense ammo, and emphasis on high quality. So like I said earlier, I like to run Spear Gold Dots, and Hornady Critical Defense is also good as well. So this step, by shooting these different kinds of ammo, it's going to tell you if your gun has any like quirks or has any preferences. Now, it shouldn't. If you get any serious pistol, typically stuff used by police departments or military, it shouldn't have issues. You should be able to run every single ammo through it, but still, you should do this to break it in and also just to get a feel of the gun. Second, once you're shooting this ammo, after this, you absolutely must master the trigger. This isn't just about pulling it. It's about understanding its anatomy, so to say. You need to squeeze the trigger very, very slowly. Very slow. See how I slowed down how I was talking. Then you need to feel for the precise moment it meets resistance. And that's called the wall of the trigger. It's the point just before the firing pin releases and it hits the bullet and you're about to shoot. So knowing exactly where the wall is, it's pretty much non-negotiable. You need to know where it is, or at least know what it feels like. It's the single biggest factor in eliminating flinching, which ruins accuracy. If you're jerking the trigger around because you're anticipating recoil, you're going to be missing shots, your groupings and all that stuff. It won't be tight. So learn where the trigger wall is, and you'll be able to control the break, and you'll be able to keep your sights aligned onto your target. It's imperative, it's critical, it's crucial, it's the bedrock, it's the foundation of shooting accurately, and you need to shoot accurately. So you're responsible for every bullet that comes out of that gun. So don't skip this part and spend dedicated time on it on every range session, especially early on. So third, doing both of these things together, like testing the ammo, studying the trigger, looking at your groupings, all that stuff, it reveals everything else you need to know about your gun. So it'll force you to change your grip angle, for example, on the pistol, or change where your stock is in the pocket of your shoulder if you're shooting a rifle. It exposes if you're holding it incorrectly through inconsistent shot groupings on paper targets. And by the way, use paper, not just steel. So paper, you can see your actual impact points. Doing this is going to show what ammo that your specific gun prefers, even if, like I said earlier, in theory, any serious firearm should reliably run everything from bottom of the basement, bargain bin, steel case trash to premium self-defense ammo. So once this phase, one could call it, you could. Once it's done, you kind of know your gun decently well. You understand its recoil signature. You're dialed into how it shoots with different ammo. You're comfortable with its iron sights or your optic if you've got one on there. And you've built the fundamental muscle memory. Now, for Y-Fire beyond the break-in, let's talk about drills real quick. I'll try to keep this as concise as possible since I'm not actually filming myself shooting, but these 5 drills are essential for translating range time into a usable skill, and I do each and every one of these. So drill 1 is simply just slow fire accuracy. You just take your time, focus purely on sight picture, trigger control, breathing. See how far you can take your pistol or your rifle out to just focus on accuracy. This is mostly going to be bench shooting. So see how far you can consistently hit targets with both your pistol and your rifle. So this will build the precision foundation everything else rests on, right? So drill 2 is positional shooting. It's going to be shooting while you're standing, shooting while you're crouching, and shooting while you're prone. Don't just stand flat-footed like a target dummy, to be honest with you. Practice getting into and shooting from these positions deliberately. It's necessary because real-world engagements rarely happen from a perfect, stable stance, and they don't happen at a flat range. Drill 3 is movement, walking and shooting. Start slow by shuffling laterally or walking forward and backwards while engaging your target. Technique trumps speed. So don't be trying to go out there and running and sprinting immediately. Just take your time. Do it slowly. If you're not hitting anything because you're moving too fast, you're just wasting your ammo and you'll be reinforcing bad habits. So just take your time. And gunfights aren't static either, meaning you don't move. You're going to need to move while shooting, and this drill builds that coordination. Next, drill 4 is the classic 2 to the body, 1 to the head. It's commonly referred to, I guess I haven't heard it, but I guess it's a technical name for it, is the Mozambique drill. But the name of it's irrelevant. So what you're going to do is you're going to fire 2 rapid shots into center mass and then 1 precise to the head. And yes, it sounds easy, but it's not. It's not as easy as it sounds. It is a little bit harder than it sounds, especially when demanding tight groupings under simulated pressure or something that you need to account for. It builds rapid fire capability, target reacquisition speed, mental focus under stress. So you can do this with your gun already ready, or you can do it from the holster, whether you have an outside the waistband or inner waistband holster. So anyways, next one and the last one is drill 5, and that's going to be reloads. Whether it's your concealed carry pistol or your rifle, you have to practice reloading smoothly and quickly, and then taking an immediate follow-up shot. And because malfunctions happen, magazines get dropped, and you never know when you'll need that spare mag. This drill also ingrains mental shot counting and prevents the bad habit of racking the slide or charging handle when a round's already chambered, and it potentially just waste ammo, which you might need that one last bullet or something like that. So now, for theoretical knowledge, it's going to be books, media, stuff like that. If you're still here, you get a goodie. If you bounced already, you snooze, you lose. Oh well. This is where the real depth lies, beyond just shooting. The knowledge is contained within the books. And as they say, there's no juice without squeezing the berry. You got to get that information somehow. So let's get specific. My top recommendation is going to be Fry the Brain by John West. It's not like a standard sniper manual. It dives deep into guerrilla sniper tactics, and it emphasizes creativity and unconventional thinking, and it leverages the environment in ways most tactical guides, in my opinion, ignore. Next up will be Concrete Jungle by Clay Martin. He is taking his own Green Beret experiences and just giving it to us. He covers a massive spectrum in this book, like SHTF, which shit hits the fan, tactics for urban environments, firearms handling under stress, practical fieldcraft, all that good stuff. Kind of like this video, just way more expanded. Then the same author, Clay Martin, has another book called Prairie Fire. This one is a little bit more wild. It's a little bit more unhinged, and he goes deeper into guerrilla warfare doctrine and legal considerations during chaos, solo and group training methods, gear selection on a budget, advanced firearms tactics, and the gritty details of, one could say, basic soldiering. It's the stuff you won't find in most videos or most books. I really, really like that book. Next, it will be Don Shift. He's a former cop, and it's Suburban Defense. Honestly, I think this is a pretty gold tier book. It's really good. It'll shift details from the beginning of SHTF, like hardening your home using everyday items, like bushes near windows for cover. And that's actually a legitimate thing. It's stuff you won't really think about that's real small. He even talks about ring cameras or wired cameras for security systems, setting your house up with a generator, setting up neighborhood civilian checkpoints and roadblocks legally, establishing comms networks using cheap, accessible radios like the Bofang UV5R, and even creating a neighborhood dispatch center. He also, and this is the biggest part of this book, he addresses these legal things that can happen. Like, what happens when law and order does return and you acted like an idiot during the chaos? And next, again, by Dawn Shift, it's going to be Suburban Warfare, not Defense. This tackles the escalation part of SHTF. Suburban Defense is more for like riots, and they're going to end in a week or so. Suburban Warfare is more like, yeah, this is kind of a wasteland kind of Fallout setting. It's when shit gets real kinetic and violent, and you're forced into direct defense. And then lastly, it's a classic. It is The Guerrilla's Guide to the Bowfang by NC Scout. This book blew my mind initially when it tells you how much you can do with a $30 Chinese radio. It's far beyond just simple walkie-talkie and stuff like that, like a SpongeBob walkie-talkie or something that you got when you were a kid. It covers ComSec, which is communication security, antenna building for range extension, frequency hopping, and avoiding detection while using them. It's actually crazy. But lastly, I wouldn't really recommend these, but they are out there and they're free. Army and Marine Corps field manuals. If you're real hungry, you want the most you can get. But I'm just going to tell you now, it's kind of dense and technical, and it's not always like the easiest thing to read. So anyways, if you have any more book recommendations, throw them in the comments, but make it a real book, not some like bullshit training material or some just stupid shit. Don't post anything dumb. Just share what actually works. Share something good. Now, we're going to be moving on to dry fire training, which is arguably more important than live fire training. Yes, I said that, for building fundamental skills. And it's wildly underutilized by a lot of people. So first, what you're going to do, or what you should do, is get some dummy rounds. These are called sap caps sometimes, and they're going to be for your primary weapon system. It's going to be your rifle and your handgun. And here's a truth bomb, a truth nuke. As a civilian, you should probably master your concealed carry pistol before obsessing over rifle drills. Rifles are generally easier to shoot accurately for the average person. You typically just aim it and shoot it. But let's be honest here with rifles. Don't tell me you can hit targets 900 yards away with a 22 long rifle. I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but the vast majority of you are not Carlos Hathcock reincarnated. I genuinely say 9 out of 10 people who brag about shooting and all that stuff online are honestly full of shit. They're either ego bragging or they shot from a bench and they think it's the same thing as combat stress. It's not. If you're that good, and I'd recommend you do this even if you're not good, go compete in a USPSA match and see how you stack up against some legit comp shooters. Some of them are like 9-year-olds who drank 4 Red Bulls and they're going to be on Fortnite building a freaking tower because you shot near them once. These guys are insane. Rarely is someone a genuinely elite shot. And dry fire is a way to get there if you're not. And I'm not the most amazing shot either. Just put that out there. But I'm not shitty at it, but I'm not amazing like those guys. Anyways, to do dry fire effectively, you need to first make sure your firearm's unloaded every single time. Put it in a different room. Completely unload it. Rack to slide like 6 times. Well, drop the magazine first, then rack to slide. But after that, if you're dry firing in your house, which 99% of the time you will be, honestly, close your window blinds. So someone who doesn't walk past your window and they just see a guy with a gun in the window calls the cops on you. Because, yeah, that's little things you have to remember. But anyways, once your rifle or your pistol is unloaded, pick a small target on the wall, like a light switch or even a light itself, just anything that's small, and practice your draw from concealment or from retention, and focus on smoothness and speed without jerking it. Jerking it. Pause. Anyways, practice the slow, controlled trigger squeeze like we talked about in the live fire. Feel for the wall. Watch the sights to ensure they don't move. Do all that stuff you do at the range, except you just don't have ammo in. It's that easy. You can even film yourself on your phone, and I've done this before. It'll show you what, if you're flinching or if you have poor sight alignment. It's stuff you might not notice in the moment. So do this for both pistol and rifle and practice your transitions from low ready to high ready or whatever. Another good drill for dry fire: balance a quarter on the barrel of your unloaded rifle or pistol. You can do this with either of them. Squeeze the trigger incredibly slowly, and if the quarter stays put, you've mastered the smooth press of the trigger. Congratulations. If it drops, you jerk the trigger too much. And believe it or not, competition shooters actually spend more time dry firing than live firing. It's the secret sauce for building muscle movement, muscle memory. without burning cash on all the ammo. And yes, you can practice reloads with dry fire too. Mag changes and, throwing the slide back, throwing it forward, whatever. But remember, dry fire is a supplement. It's not a replacement. Only live fire replicates recoil, noise, the weight of the gun, all that stuff. So don't think that you only need to dry fire and you're good. You should be dry firing more than you live fire, but get some live range time in every so often. Plus, it's fun anyways. Now, training as the Minuteman is not all just gun stuff. Soldiers do more than that stuff. So let's get up on the camping and woodsman skill stuff, but ditch the civilian camping mindset entirely. The Minuteman, the warfighter, the soldier, whatever you want to say, they don't really go camping like civilians do. He exists in the field under constant stress. The warfighter, civilian, Minuteman, whatever, the soldier, they're loaded down with a rucksack full of heavy shit, annoying gear. Rifle is always within reach of them. And you won't even crawl into a cozy sleeping bag. You might just sleep right on top of it, like your sleeping bag, or you'll just sleep on the ground. And you might use the bag as a blanket or really just a whoopee, because those precious seconds spent unzipping your sleeping bag because you woke up to gunfire, it could literally mean life or death. I mean that 100%. So the warfighter, soldier, civilian, Minuteman, solely at nighttime anyways, because we're talking about sleeping, he relies on red lights, if there is any around, night vision, or just pure darkness. There's no white light. There shouldn't be anything that's going to give away your position incredibly easy. You're also going to be having to do guard shifts, so expect shitty, terrible sleep, to be honest. You're going to wake up cold and wet from the mildew or something on the grass. That's personal experience speaking. It sucks. You're going to have your boots on. So, we're all used to sleeping without most of our clothes on. If you sleep with your jeans on or something, I don't know. But you're going to sleep with your boots on, your uniform. And when you're hungry, you're going to have to eat the MRE cold or whatever food you have, because cooking food gives away your position. The scent of some nice steaks in the field, it can travel for miles. And not only does it alert the enemies, it can also alert animals. And animals can compromise your position, something you might not think about. A deer walking through the woods, or, noticing birds flying all to this area because you're making hot food, it's going to give you away. Next, you can't be lighting a fire. Just forget about it. It's an obvious visual suicide. It's visible for miles to the naked eye, but it glows like a beacon even more under night vision than it does with the naked eye. So I remember being in the woods with nods on, seeing some car headlights from, like 2 miles away, and it was just brighter than daylight. So just get used to being cold, get used to being wet, get used to being exhausted, get used to being disoriented sometimes, and get comfortable being uncomfortable. So, yeah, soldiering kind of sucks. It's a young man's game. It demands immense mental toughness and resilience. And this isn't about enjoying the woods when you're doing this stuff. This is going to be about enduring the environment while maintaining operational capability. So you can practice this now if you want. I don't really think it's necessary, but maybe it is. Whatever you decide. Sleep in your backyard with the bare minimum, like I just mentioned. Do short overnighters with like minimal gear. Force yourself to eat cold food. Navigate in pitch darkness. Yeah, you know what? You should do it. Test yourself a little bit. Give you that resilience. And also, I want this to be something you use in real life. Like I said earlier, it'll give you some thankfulness that you're able to live in a house with the AC, the heat, and all that stuff. You need to build some tolerance to the misery, just a little bit. It's really going to help you outside in your real life. Now, let's move on. Next will be video games. And guys, don't pound on me in the comments. You really said video games for training? I know, you're going to laugh. Just hear me out. It's specific games, if played correctly, can give you, underneath the guidance of someone who understands real-world stuff, they can teach you generalized situational awareness and decision-making. Okay? I'm not saying video games are the way to train. It is a small, very small part, though. You take everything from this video, you can train using all the methods. But I'm not talking specifically about Call of Duty and like the sweaty ranked matches and you're using the most meta builds and stuff. What I mean more is like deliberate analytical kind of games. Escape from Tarkov, stuff like that. Tarkov really forces you to know about sound awareness, like footsteps, reloads, gear rustle gives away someone's position, like you're walking through the bush or something. It'll tell you about round count discipline, like knowing how much ammo you have, because in that game, people typically aren't doing suppressing fire because they can only bring in so much ammo, just like in real life, because the shit's heavy. So if you don't count your ammo, will run dry really fast. It would also teach you tactical movement through buildings, like clearing corners, stuff like that, open danger areas, really, linear danger areas. It also really, really enforces light and laser discipline. So you turn them off when you're not actively scanning or using it, and it prevents you from giving away your location. It's called light and laser discipline. Next, another game that I like is Ready or Not. It's good at teaching you the pacing of tactical movements. Like in that game, it's not like COD at all. You can move too fast, someone can kill you. It's often, I would say, it's painfully slow. It's deliberate, it's methodical, it is not like real life. I read a book about the Way City in Vietnam. These guys were barely taking half a block in a whole entire day. It's very intense urban combat. So also, Ready or Not really does hone in on PID, which is positive identification, before you start shooting, because you'll get penalized for shooting the civilians and all that stuff. So also, another thing from Ready or Not, it teaches you about looking out for traps, like tripwires. You can see this when you go behind doors. It's not just Vietnam stuff either. And my neck of the woods, my part of the country that I live in, which is near the Appalachians, I'm really close to them if I'm not. Probably people who live here consider us in the Appalachians. Anyways, kids are warned about wires strung on dirt bike trails by like sick freaks who just want to decapitate people on dirt bikes or like dirt bikes. Yeah, it's a real thing. It's kind of crazy, but you should always be aware of where your feet are and what's in front of you. And last game that I recommend, it's kind of similar to Ready or Not, but actually it's what Ready or Not's based off of. It is going to be SWAT 4. I really, really enjoy this old-ass game. It has aged very well. If you want to go get it, I got it off Good Old Games for $10, and it had all the DLC included. It's from 2005. Really, really good game. I'd say the AI is even better than Ready or Not, believe it or not. But anyways, believe it or not, Ready or Not. But just like in Ready or Not, actually, not really. More in SWAT 4, 1 or 2 bullets can kill you. And it simulates how fast and unforgiving that stuff is. Now you actually do need to get PID. It's a stark contrast to the cool guy shit on Instagram and YouTube and all that stuff. So now moving on from games, like media and stuff, you can go on YouTube, find some other channels. I'll give you some channels I really like. Brent0331. He's great for basic infantry stuff. He also does he does a lot on that channel. So next we have Active Self-Protection. He does self-defense scenarios. And Tactical Rifleman. He does drills like I tell you to do. He has gear on there, marksmanship. These are all some very good channels. Next up for more YouTube stuff is police body cam footage. I think it's really good to watch this and learn from it. It's not just to like look at and be like, wow, that's crazy, but it is to analyze. I used to work alongside cops in EMS, so I respect the shit they have to deal with, and they do have to get into some crazy shit sometimes. So we can just very easily watch their body cam footage. It'll really show you the split-second decision-making you might have to make sometimes. So look at it and go, all right, what went right? What procedural step failed? How did the environment affect the outcome? Stuff like that. Really go and look at it. You can learn a lot from these videos. It's like learning real-world data. Now, the last part of the video, and certainly not least, arguably the most important. This applies to everyone, not just gun nuts. It'll be physical fitness. It's for the soldier, the cop, the guerrilla, the Minuteman, prepared citizen, whatever you are watching this video. And they recognize the Second Amendment as a duty and not just a right. Generic gym routines just aren't really the most ideal. I'm going to say that. You'll need specific combat-oriented fitness if you're real serious about this. It's endurance and agility is also a lot of it. You need the ability to operate under extreme duress. You're going to be carrying some heavy shit around. So bodybuilding, it's nice. Hey, if you're in the gym doing whatever you want, respect to you, okay? But for the combat-oriented stuff, it's not ideal. What I like to do personally, and what I've seen from a lot of combat fitness stuff like that, kind of like training regimens, is high intensity interval training, which is HIIT training. And it's pretty much functional body weight work. There's some weights thrown in there, of course, but it's that kind of stuff. It gets your heart rate going. Next, something that I like and something that I see in a lot of these guides will be supersets. Supersets are basically doing one exercise and without resting, going to do another one. Then after that, you recover a little bit. So body weight exercises, push-ups, pull-ups, squats, lunges, all that kind of stuff. It builds a good foundational strength and it translates directly to movement under load. So why? What do you mean by this? So let's just say this. Let's compare two hypothetical guys. They both have equal training, equal shooting skill, except one's a power lifter. He's built like a brick shit house. But the other one is wiry, but he's lean, but he's strong. Okay. If I could only pick one for a tactical team, it would be the wiry guy. And that's because he can fit through tight spaces if it's need to, pause, windows, crawl spaces, dense brush. It's stuff like that you need to do in soldiering, stuff you can't really think about. They can move faster over distance and sustain activity longer. I would assume the wiry guy can probably run longer than the power lifter. And this kind of stuff is critical when you're hauling a ruck or you've got your plate carrier on for 18 hours straight just to get away from contact. You may have to do a tactical retreat. By the way, nothing wrong with powerlifters, bodybuilders, and stuff like that. It's just that combat fitness specifically prioritizes cardiovascular endurance and functional mobility over being as strong as possible. Again, shout out to those guys. They're way stronger than I am. Hey, y'all keep doing y'all's thing. Much respect from me. They're just different kinds of athlete styles. And we can see this. Football players are they're built differently than basketball players and all that stuff. So, but yeah, combat fitness, you need to run fast, run for a long time, climb, crawl, carry loads, keep going when your lungs are burning, your legs feel like they're just giant weights. So I think you should get some sprints in there, some long distance runs. You can try rucking, but don't do it too much. If you just make sure you know what you're doing. That's something for a different video. Pack your ruck correctly and also if you're new to this, start light and stuff like that. This stuff does harm your knees, so don't stuff your ruck with 100 pounds and just try going out on your very first time. Please don't. Seriously. Dude, start off with like 20 pounds, 25 pounds, something ridiculously light because rucking hurts your knees. You shouldn't do this all the time. Now, if you're going to be like Special Forces selection or something or like Ranger School, then that advice is different. Go do something else. This is more for like the average civilian. So also get some calisthenics in, bear crawls, planks, stuff like that. It's not going to make you look incredibly jacked. I mean, it might, but it's not about looking jacked is what I mean to say. It's more about being capable when your life depends on it, right? So your body is your primary weapon system, really, when you think about it. So it has to be maintained. It has to be ready. All right, guys, that's really about it for the video. And I'm going to be honest, this advice is kind of surface level, especially if you're a guy who has way more training than I do. I'm not claiming to be some Special Forces operator kind of guy, but it's, like I said earlier, it's for the average civilian stepping into preparedness, and I think everybody should be doing this. It's not about becoming a Spec Ops warrior overnight. This video is not about that. It is not about this. More so, I want to explain like tangible, practical skills. It'll also enhance your daily resilience in life, and it will provide a foundation if things truly go sideways. Too many people get paralyzed by like the perfect training plan, or they get intimidated by all the fancy jargon and like the vet bros. And honestly, like it sounds stupid to say this, and it's a very like feminine term, but like toxic people. A lot of these guys are just kind of jackasses in my experience. People think they know better than you. They're more fit than you. But ultimately, this is a male space, so you're going to deal with those things, and that's fine to an extent. But when it's not fine when it just starts harming your training ability and you're not really learning anything at all. But anyways, start where you are. Run those 500 rounds methodically. Dry fire for a little bit. Just dry fire for 10 minutes every day. Even 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes every day. Your shooting will get better, I promise you. Read a chapter out of the books I said. Sleep in your backyard with the bare minimum if you want. Play some video games that are tactical focused. Try to do more push-ups. try to do more pull-ups. Stack up your small, consistent victories. I'm not expecting you to be some special operations guy right off the bat. If you can only do 5 push-ups, the next time you go do push-ups, try to do 10. If you're trying to get better, I'm not going to fucking clown on you. I'm not that kind of guy. If you're trying to do something better, we should all be cheering you on because that's what we all want people to do. So, yeah, this effect will be compounding if you do all that. And also, don't fall for echo chambers online telling you need this $2,000 in gear or else you're going to die. I really hate that stuff. If you're doing all this stuff, you're doing more than 99% of people online. I promise you. Now, there are some things that will help you in combat. Yes, like night vision and thermals, and they are expensive. But if you're doing this stuff, you are miles and leagues ahead of the average person. And the fact of the matter is, the chances of you having to actually do all this stuff for real, it's honestly pretty small. But knowing how to do it anyways is important. It's your duty for the Second Amendment. So if you liked this video, you thought it was great, subscribe to the channel, share it with other people that you train with. I'd really like to see your opinions in the comments. Guys, drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let me know what you think of the video. I really tried to give you something quality here. This is definitely dedicated to like the beginner or someone who's new. But if I was able to give you some information and you're way more badass than I am, then that's also freaking cool. So Patreon for $5 a month to support the channel if you like it. It really helps me out because it gives me more time to work on dropping videos for you guys. Follow me on Rumble in case YouTube decides to ban me one day. I don't see why they would, but you never know with these websites. Follow me on Twitter or X if you want to see some political stuff. I just shit post on Twitter, okay? But anyways, guys, stay sharp and stay prepared. Knowledge without application is just mental masturbation. Get out there and train, do the work. Much love. God bless you all. America first, America always. Jimmy Talks out.